So I've built a roof here, and I'm going to do that with you, but just so you can see it. There it is, and if we render it, the sun is facing this side, just so you know. If you ever want to play around with that, you can click on the sun and look in the attribute editor, and it's the, let's look at the AI physical sky. It's the azimuth. So elevation is, up and down, sort of, and azimuth is kind of east and west. So if I spin that around and re-render, so that's the last render I did, and then if I re-render, you'll see that it's dark on that side. So, okay. Anyway, so this is my roof group. I'm just going to hide it, and I'll make another one. You can always turn off the visibility of your lights while you're working. Just make sure you don't try to render because it'll be dark. Okay, so let's make a simple roof for this. I'm gonna just start with a plane, and let me just bring it up in space and focus in on it. I see that has a lot of divisions, which I don't want, so I'm gonna look in my channel box, look in inputs, and I'm just gonna bring that down to 1. And now let's scale it, and let's place it kind of evenly over the house. So if I look at it from upside down, I can see my house is off center, so I could play around with that. You could move your house back into the 0, 0 position, or you could just kind of try to eyeball it. One thing I did when I was doing this before is I took a look at the house structure. So if you look in here, and that's the house body, and I actually just put it in the X position of Z. You could also do that with X is 7. You can also do the same thing with Z here. Maybe I'll make it 12. And so that's an easy way for you to center then this object. You could say 7 and 12, and now they have the same center point. So sometimes that's something you can do. So now they have the same center point. I'm not going to worry about the height because they'll be different. So maybe I'll make it a little wider here because it's going to tilt up, and I want like some eaves and just a little eaves on the edges, I guess. Not too much. Yeah, maybe something like that. And you can always trim this later. Okay, so let's look at it from above. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it down till where it touches, and let's look again. Is it big enough? Maybe just a little bigger. Okay, and just going to bring it up a little more. And let's add one cut to this. So I'm just going to look at it from above. I'm going to open my modeling tools, get the multi-cut. And remember, if you hit Shift, if you hit Control on a Mac, I think it might be Command, it'll give you the edge loop tool, so it'll go all the way across. And if you hit Shift, it'll give you degrees. So you can see, hopefully you can see that it says 50% up there. So I'll undo that. So again, if I press Control, it'll give me that. And if I press Shift, it gives me increments. So 50, 60, 70. I'm going to do 50 because that's halfway, right? Oops, there we go. And if I look at it from, there it is, it's halfway across. I'm going to go into edge mode, select the edge, and bring it up. So just a simple roof. You could bring yours up more if you want more of a peaked roof, or down if you want more of a kind of modernist building with a very crawl space type attic. Let's bring it down so we can see what it looks like. Maybe we want that roof line to be it's a little extreme. Edge up a bit more maybe. Something like that. Again, it has some pretty big eaves, which is sort of like kind of an extreme modernist. So we'll take those in a little bit. So let's go to the edges here and on the other side. So we have both of those. Press R for scale and just scale it in a little bit. You could do it however you please, and we can bring the object up a bit again so it's no longer intersecting. It's not pushing through the walls. See how it was pushing through the walls there. Okay, so yeah, we'll have some eaves there. That looks okay. I'm just going to extrude this object now. Just make sure it's in object mode, and you could either go up to, you can change this back to modeling, edit mesh, extrude from here, or you can do the Command E. So I'm going to do Command E. Oops, move that. And I'm going to do it from the center. So if I press this little thing, it looks a little bit like it's like a circle with a pointer. It centers it, and that way I can extrude up sort of evenly. The other thing you could do, I'll just undo that, extrude, and then you can just press scale and just kind of scale it up. Actually, that doesn't do it evenly, so let's undo that. And let's just do it the way I did it before. So extrude from the center and extrude up, and you can see it's kind of extruding evenly across the object, okay? And after you do that, you can also, sort of play around where it is in space if you wish. And you can also delete its history here, and if you don't see that there, you can go to Edit, Delete by Type History. All right, so now we need to build these side walls, and I'm gonna do that with like what I think about as boards, sort of. You'll see it just be, let's start with a cube. I'm gonna bring it up in space and just take a look at it, focus in. I see that it doesn't have any divisions. If yours does, you can take those divisions out here, just make those 1, 1, 1, right? And then let's just bring it down, and we're gonna bring it down so it sort of sits where we want it to. And remember what we learned before about where we put the roof, that it's at 7 and 12. Let's do the same with that. So 7 and 12. Oh wait, actually, we'll just pay attention to the 7 for now. Is that right? And then let's bring it back. Let's bring it down, because Y, it's going to be different. And yeah, that should center it at least right there, okay? Then let's scale it out and up. Just keep scaling it out so it hits the, I guess, up a little bit. We can make these fatter or thinner depending on the aesthetic you want and how many boards you want to sit there. So I'm just going to push it down a little bit. You don't want it to intersect too much with the wall. So, and then you could have it be pushed, sort of flush against the wall. If you wish, however you want to build yours. We're also going to do a face board here. I forget what those are called technically, but something along those lines. You can, again, make it fatter, push it up a little bit, and it's too long now, because you don't want it to, and we're not actually building this in real life. Obviously, if we were in an architecture class, if we were, we'd have to be much better. Duplicate it by pressing Command D, or you can go up to Edit, Duplicate, and then let's move the duplicate up and have it sit on top of it, but it needs to be less wide. So come in a little bit, duplicate it up, and you could do this from the front if you want, so that you actually make sure that they are touching one another. I'm not going to be really exact. You'll see we'll put the face board here to have weathering. And you can make these slightly different sizes so they're more like wood if you wish. Duplicate up, make it smaller. I think I need that one to touch a little bit more. Again, I'm not going to finicky with it too much, get finicky. You're welcome to spend as much time on this as you wish. If you want to get more detailed, and then this little one at the top. Okay, now, so let's take one of these, maybe a kind of a medium size one, and duplicate it, and then let's spin it, because we're going to put it here, and we have to kind of get that angle right. So I'm gonna, oops, maybe that's, let's see, let's bring it up, and let's try to get that angle correct there. Have to play around where it is, and you can also start punching in numbers. Let's try just 22, and then let's bring that closer. You can press 5 too if that's easier for you to see. So maybe in the realm of 21.2. Let's see what that looks like. I think I went a little too, yeah, 21.4. Maybe that's something that's right. And then we can scale it, press R. I'm going to check on the scale tool here and do object instead of world in terms of its orientation, because then it scales it in the way that I want it to. Again, that's a really useful thing to know how to do. I'm just going to scale it a little bit more so it it kind of hits that edge at the top. Maybe I won't have it go all the way to the edge of the eave. Again, it's really up to you, and you could try to just get it to be a little bit, you could scale it here, maybe 1.2. Oops, that's too much. 1.17. 1.15. 1.14. Okay, so, I still think that's too big. 1.13. All right, so, and then we can check out the rotation. It's it's rotated in 21.4. Let's duplicate it, and let's make that negative 21.4, because then we have one that hopefully will sit fairly well over here, and we don't have to, redo all that problematic stuff there. Okay, I'm not going to try to get it too exact. Okay, so now we have this side, and let's just take a look. Again, the way I changed the orientation of the scale was to go in here and change it from world to object. That can be really helpful. Okay, let's look in the perspective view again. I'm just pressing spacebar to go in between these views. Let's make sure that face board that we just made, oops, sometimes it's hard to get the right one, is in front of the other boards. Okay, I believe mine are, but yeah, they want to be in front of the other boards fully. Okay, so mine is, let's see, that's in Z, so you could do an exact number here. You could do 49.3, and we'll give the same Z scale to this one, 49.3. Okay, now let's take all of these boards. Let's make sure we get all of them. Oops, and press Shift to grab the others and make a group. Out of this. I don't want that. Did I miss one? If I press hide, oops. If I press hide, I can see if I missed any. Okay, H to unhide. Now, if I do Command, is it Command G for group? You could also go up to Edit and Group that way. Edit Group. And I'll call that, I don't know, attic wall 1. Okay. And then let's take that and let's duplicate it, and let's bring it, oops. Did I duplicate it? Let's duplicate that. So we have attic wall 2, and we may have to change the orientation of that face board. Let's get it over. We could look at it from the side view. We can also center the pivot, modify center pivot, which you can also find up here, going to modify center pivot. And then we can kind of put that here at the, see where it is on the other one. This roof looks longer on that way, doesn't it? So we might have to fix that later. Let's put it here in relationship to the wall. All right, and then let's take a look at that face board over here. Let's turn on 5 for, we can see it. We can see, because it was in the opposite direction, that this is no longer in the right position. We could pull that forward, let's say 48.5, right? And let's do the same for that one, 48.5. You could do that a little differently if you wish. Okay, I don't have mine watertight. You can see here there's some, there's some holes, so you could go through and fix those so the light doesn't go through. But there you go. Let's add some textures to those. So I'm going to select, let's say we could just do the same texture. Let's choose these, so that's that side, right? let's go right mouse click and hold, assign new material, and we're gonna do an Arnold shader because maybe we'll play around with it later. AI standard, I'm just gonna look here, I'm gonna turn down specularity. I don't know if you can see this little specular reflection there. If I turn it down, it's matte, it's a flat, and I'm just gonna make it have a brownish color for now. You could bring up the lightness of it if you wish a little bit. And that's great, and I'm just gonna call it basic wood. Again, it's not the most interesting texture right now, but we'll just leave it like that. Okay, that's good. Let's grab these other ones, and I just want to show you, you can add an existing material by right mouse clicking, holding. Existing material, basic wood, or wood basic. I can't remember which one I added, but it's because I had the roof before. Okay, so they have a similar brown. Let's see if it was it basic wood, basic wood, basic wood, basic. So let's do basic wood. So they're the same. So existing basic wood, existing material, basic wood. Okay. Now let's also just give this one a material, right mouse click and hold, assign new material. Let's do an Arnold shader, AI standard, take down the specularity, and we'll give this like maybe, I don't know, like a pinker tie, I don't know, something like that. And now let's turn our lights back on, because if we render now, we won't have any lights. So go to show lighting, and you can play around here with where your lights are. I have the azimuth turned to this side if I look at the AI physical sky. So that's how that one looks, right? Let's move that azimuth to the other side, and then we have to re-render, and we see that the light is on the other side. But that's why I had this, this light here to kind of shine on. You can see the light is shining up on this wood. You could also, I have the normalize turned off so it has some more intensity. You could bring up the intensity there. Let's look at our last image that we just rendered. That's what it is. I'm gonna re-render, and you can see it's got some more intensity. You could even bring that up and just see what that looks like. And you can see it's very area specific. And then I'm just gonna turn on normalize just to see what that looks like. And you can see that it can be really helpful to use normalize if you want. You could keep bringing up the intensity with normalize on and the exposure, or you can turn normalize off, and of course it's really, it's a little bit, I think, too intense, of course. Let's bring it back down to, let's say 4, but let's also move it further away from the object, and you see it gets a little bit more diffuse, which is nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna save. So there's your roof, and that's it for now. Thank you.